Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to say a bit about the kind of cultural engagement, public engagement stuff that we did around the project. Partly just to kind of talk about the ways in which we spoke these histories back to our audience, but also because we tried something a little bit mad and a bit that might be interesting in thinking about future project design for people. So we organised a number of events that, you know, people will have been to similar things themselves, I'm sure, where we kind of incorporated screenings with kind of mini lectures, illustrated talks. The first of these events was a career girls event at Leicester's Phoenix Arts Centre, and we did a similar thing at the National Film Theatre, thanks to Marcus at the BFI in 2011 as well, where we showed a number of programmes that had been highlighted by the women that Hazel had talked to, and also programmes that our other researcher, Mary Irwin, had looked at in the archive as being particularly resonant and important in relation to that moment in the 1960s and 70s where women on television were being shown as both having a career and having a home life. So we showed things like Compact, the early soap opera set in a magazine office. We showed some of the Rag Trade, which was a sitcom set in a garment factory and so on. And at the BFI, we invited key personnel, people like Hilary Salmon, producer of dramas like TV dramas like Silk, Abby Morgan, also the actor Amanda Redman came along and talked a bit about being working women who were writing about working women on television. And what was interesting about those events were, what I'm kind of interested in relation to them, is the ways in which they invited audience members to muse on, talk about and connect with the research project in terms of thinking about the significance of television in their own lives. And also the ways in which talking about television history, talking about these and watching together these past programmes led them to share and articulate and start to explore aspects of their own lives, whether it was a woman kind of reflecting on the fact that she'd kind of gone and worked in Liverpool on her own, and she was talking about the liver birds as being really important in kind of making that shift into working her own working life and her own independent adulthood. So really interesting conversations were started at all of these events around the ways in which these programmes engage with personal histories, and also about a number of people talked to us at and after these events and talked about the pleasure with engaging with academic research out of the universities that they felt relevant to their own lives, their own experience of their own personal and social histories. And this also, that idea of what I've called here the pleasure of being invited to remember, that we've also talked about throughout the day as perhaps the pleasure or problems around nostalgia that a number of speakers have kind of talked about, and I'll return to it in a minute. The other thing, the mad thing that we did was run a shop for a month. The pop-up TV pop shop in the centre of Coventry, which is where some of us were based. And this was a shop where we put on an exhibition. I'll show you some pictures. This is what it looked like. It was in an old baker's oven. And that's our front doorway. We staged, as you can see here, a living room which had Ready, Steady, Go playing on a permanent loop. And we had a number of items both inside and in the windows of the shop that encouraged people to talk about and remember their experience of watching pop programmes, both men and women, actually. And that one of the things that offered us was a way to, oh God, I've got a minute left. One of the things that offered us was a way to kind of fill in the gap, the gender gap that the focus of our research had produced. And I've written a blog about that, which you can follow up and find out a bit more about the project. But the project was facilitated by a deal between Coventry City Council, Art Space, which is an organisation which brokered the deal for us, which basically meant that an empty shop was put into use by a historical research team in order to invite people in to come in and talk about their memories of pop music programming. Now, I was worried about doing this in the city centre, in the middle of a recession. Coventry, I don't know how many people have been to Coventry, it's pretty run down. The bit of town that it was in was very run down, right by the market. And I was worried about people kind of going, why are you spending our money on this? What's the point of television history? And why are you here and why are you doing this? And actually, as I said, these anxieties were completely unfounded. People were very positive about what they felt. Everybody that came through the door talked about the pleasure of being invited to remember. They talked about the significance of television, both in relation to this genre, but more broadly in relation to their lives. We had a number of people could just come in and talk about the fact that they felt something positive about there being a connection between their lives and academic research, historical research. And talking about television opened up a broader conversation about cultural heritage and what should be preserved and what should be saved. And these were not conversations that we were having with other researchers. These were conversations we were having with people that had gone to the market to do their shopping. So it was a really kind of fantastic moment for us as a researcher. Obviously, one of the things that we did, as well as collecting people's memories as we spoke to them in the shop, was ask them to reflect on their experience of coming to the shop. Yes, this person says, it's amazing how visual stimulus triggers memories long forgotten and how conversations naturally lead to other long forgotten memories of TV. So important TV culture was to how I viewed myself and my role. We honestly didn't write this. Somebody wrote it for us within my group of friends and peers more generally. Someone else talks about her deaf parents and the fact that Top of the Pops became an important ritual and a way to connect and engage with her mum, who came and watched Pans People with her. And so there's this sense in which being invited to think about, to muse about television history by academic researchers allow people to sort of reflect upon the significance of television in their own lives.